All right, hopefully you got that notification that we are recording. So, welcome everyone. We are going to go over some system TA with you today. So this is for approved assessors. And before we get too far, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so that you can learn a little bit about who we are and the folks that are supporting you today with this session. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Maybe. I don't know why I have such a hard time stop sharing all. It's not letting me. Hmm. Is it still sharing on your end? There we go. There we go. You good? Is it off? Okay, good. It's just like a bugger sometimes for me. I don't know why. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Howard. I am the assessment manager for Great Start to Quality working at the Early Childhood Investment Corporation. And so my team does all things on-site observation for that process. In the bigger GSQ process. So glad to have you here with us this afternoon. And I'm going to pass it off to Dana Frederick.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everyone. My name's Dana Frederick. I'm the data systems manager for Great Start to Quality. My team handles all of the software platforms that you use as providers. Um, and so happy to be here. I will hand it over to Amber.
Thanks, Dana. Hey, everybody. I'm Amber Vanderzalm. I'm one of the two assessment team leads. I work closely with Kristen to help the assessment team run smoothly and then also to approve the reports that you guys are putting into the system for each of your programs. Stacy?
Thanks, Amber. Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Treleski. I am the other assessment team lead for the Great Start to Quality assessment team. Again, I work really closely with Kristen and with Amber, completing on-site observations as well as helping to approve all of those reports that come through. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to send it over to Riva.
Hey everyone, my name is Reva Richardson. I am the on-site observation scheduler for Great Start to Quality. In addition to scheduling our GSQ assessors, I also am the person who processes and inputs your schedulings. So when I am informed that one of you have completed an observation, I go into the system and I assign that to you and I troubleshoot getting those credentials set up so that you can access the system.
Okay. Can everybody see the objectives here? All right. So we are going to dive right in. These are our objectives for today. So we really want to just do a highlight so that you can understand the role and responsibilities of an approved assessor within the Great Start to Quality on-site observation process. What's it mean? What's it mean to be an approved assessor? Become familiar with the requirements and the expectations for submitting class observation scores as part of the GSQ process. And then really a good portion of our day is learning how to accurately enter and submit those class scores for Great Start to Quality in the My Registry system. And then engage in some collaborative discussion, clarify any remaining questions, and just help each other out in a collaborative way. First, we're going to level set and just kind of get us all grounded in what the process is and what it means to be an approved assessor. Talk about system access and the process and the completion protocol for how to complete those observations. And then lots of time for Q&A. All right, so we're going to level set first. So what does it mean? What does it mean to be an approved assessor? A lot of you, I recognize your names. So a lot of you have been approved assessors for a while, and you probably came today because you're like, what's new with the system, right? So we're going to definitely get to that. But I do recognize a lot of your names, and some of you have definitely already been part of this journey for a little while here, and others of you may be new to this. So hopefully we are going to cover all things to help you all out. So to be an approved assessor for Great Start to Quality means that you're already doing an observation for someone. It might be a GSRP, it might be a Head Start, an early Head Start. And so it just means so that we are not duplicating efforts because we do observations for Great Start to Quality. That it means that this approved assessor, you and your role would then enter those scores to be completed as part of the Great Start to Quality process too. Again, this isn't an effort not to duplicate services. We don't need programs having extra observations for no need if you're already doing an observation and working with a program. We don't need to do an additional observation. To be a Great Start to Quality approved assessor, you must have all of the following. So you must be trained by Teachstone or a Teachstone affiliate trainer. And the appropriate version of class that you're using. So if you're observing infants, you'll use the infant tool and need to be trained in infants. If you are pre-K, right? So some of you are just reliable in pre-K, and that's totally fine. You would only do pre-K observations, then you would not be assigned to anything infants and toddlers. So meeting those reliability requirements defined by Teachstone, we know what those are. Amber, Stacy, and I are very familiar. We all do the test every year, just like you all do too. So we know that sometimes taking that test every year can be a little nerve-wracking. So we're right there with you, but you do have to meet that reliability every year and stay current as a class observer. We do require that you not have supervisory responsibility for the program, classroom, or staff that you are observing. So that means that it's not the director of the program that's doing the observation, let's say. Early childhood specialists, great. That's totally fine. Head Start, I know, has lots of different observers that have different capacities, different roles, different titles. That's fine too. If it's a part of your work, that is fine. But like the director of the program can't do their own observations. Everyone who is an approved assessor has to have an individual account in my registry. So we will get into that a little bit more here coming up. But you do have to have an individual account. And I know a lot of folks use their personal email for my registry, which is fine. We just would need to know that that's the email that you use because we do have to sync that up to make sure that you're getting properly assigned the right kind of user role. You do have to be free of conflict of interest according to a list of criteria, and that is on our website, right? So you're not doing an observation for your sister, for example. And then there is a certification process. So folks have to complete the GSQ approved assessor certification process. We are not issuing certificates anymore. An email back basically says, yep, you're good to go. Once you have your user role in my registry, okay, I'm an approved assessor. GSRP is exempt from this requirement. This is new this year. So if you work for GSRP and you're an early childhood specialist and you already have your user role, you do not need to keep continuing to come through that certification process. All right. Real high level steps of the process for Great Start to Quality. So programs that are eligible for an observation to have those scores entered have to be coming through this particular process. One of the most common questions we get from approved assessors is, oh, I did the observation, when do I enter the scores? And so this kind of gives you an idea of when that will be. The program has to submit an application. Then they do a self-reflection. They create and meet goals, um, enter lots of information, submit a second application that says, yes, I want to have a validation and an observation. They get a review by a quality improvement coach, and that person works for one of our 10 local Great Start to Quality resource centers. And then they submit that self-reflection. It's a bunch of indicators and lots of questions that are asked. They have to upload evidence of some different things that they do, PD, for example. And then they have a validation. A validation happens over the phone with one of the Great Start to Quality validators that works for ECIC, as we do. And that, like I said, is a phone call to go over all of those indicators that they do in the self-reflection. Once that validation is complete, is when it's time for on-site observation. And so this is the time where approved assessors would then, it would be opened up to enter scores for the program that you work with. So if somebody is just in creating and meeting goals and you do their observation, we literally in the system can't have you assigned. Like it just doesn't happen. So you would just have to wait until the program is in the spot in the process where those scores can be entered. And you will get an email stating that you've been assigned. So you don't have to be wondering about that. It is good to have a conversation with the programs you work with, like, oh, are you going through the process for Great Start to Quality this year? Where are you at? You know, that type of thing. But as long as you're doing the observation in that current school year, we can use those scores. So this will tell you a little bit more about this. So once that validation is complete, a program gets an on-site observation questions form from Riva, and that gets emailed out to the program, and they're going to actually put the name of their approved assessor if they have one. There's a question that says, do you get class observations? And they'll say, yes, we do. And Kim does my observations, right? So they would put your name in there and tell us what classroom that you observed or are going to observe. And so that is all on the program. The program is kind of like that key to unlocking us to know which approved assessor is to be assigned. So once we get that information, and sometimes that takes a little back and forth with Riva, we go ahead and put the program in our queue for observation, and you get assigned. So in my registry, Riva would go in and assign you the Bumblebee classroom because she was told that that's the classroom that you either have done this school year, a class observation, or you're planning to. And then there's other folks that also could be assigned. So maybe it's a GSRP and you're going to do the pre-K room, but they also have an infant room. The infant room could be assigned to someone on our team at ECIC to go out and do that observation. So all those people, that gets flushed out. Riva assigns the appropriate folks, and you would get notification that you were assigned to enter class scores. Are you with me so far? Any questions? I know it's very high level and I'm going kind of quick, so I can definitely clarify if needed. All right, so once you get that assignment, right, you're gonna get an email that says you have 30 days to enter those scores. I do want to reassure everyone here that we do have wiggle room with that 30 days. We don't draw a hard line in the sand, because if on the 35th day is the day that you're planning the observation, right, we do give you time to do that and enter those scores. Not a problem if you lost connection. We definitely are recording, and you'll have access to watching this again if you've gone in and out. So we do work with you on that assignment. Or if we know the program is coming through and they hit that mark in January, and you are planning to do an observation, let's say in March. We know a lot of observations happen in March. We'll communicate back and forth and we'll just make a note of it, and then we'll just wait to assign you until a little bit later so that we know. It's really helpful for us to know that, like, hey, I'm doing this, but I'm not doing it till March. So helpful for us to know. You can use scores from the current school year only, the school year of the year that the program is coming through the process, right? So if they're coming through right now, um, you can't use scores from 2024, for instance. It's got to be at least from this current school year. Great Start to Quality does require at least 3 cycles of class. So this is something to keep in mind. This is not new. However, we have been, flexible with folks their first time around, if they didn't know. So our assessors do 4 cycles of class, but MyLeap, for our grant, we require at least 3 cycles of class, to be done for these observations. We do have a video tutorial on our website, and I will share that with you. We're going to update it with the new current process here soon, so that is helpful for all of you. You'll be able to refer to it. So if you forget what happens today, no need to worry. We will definitely have those resources for you. We do require that you upload documentation. So when Amber and Stacy said, they helped me approve reports. The 3 of us are in there. And what we do is we take the documentation and we just match it up to what is entered in the system to make sure that those numbers match and that the math is mathing correctly. So we are not looking at your observation to be like, wonder why they gave that person a 2. No, that's not what we're doing. We are literally just making sure that what you enter into the system matches what you have on your score sheets. So the actual score sheets are the most helpful documentation that you can enter or that you can upload. And Dana's going to show you where to do that here shortly. If you don't have those score sheets, and again, once you've kind of gone through this the first time, you kind of know I got to save those, right? You can scan them, you can take a picture of them, whatever is most convenient for you to upload those. On the next slide here in a second, I'm going to show you something that we cannot take for documentation. It really just has to be, the documentation has to show the cycle scores. If there's any reason that when you enter those scores or upload that documentation that something does not match or something is off, Stacy, Amber, and I will return it for revisions to you, and you would get an email that says this has been returned to you for revisions. See the notes, and we would put in the spot that's called assessment notes. And again, you'll see this when Dana goes through. There's a little spot there that we can write a note to you that says, "Oh, cycle 3." Language modeling, you have a 3, but your documentation shows a 4. Which one is it supposed to be? Kind of a thing. And then you can fix that and resubmit. So that's what that return for revisions. Most of the time, we're returning it because folks forget to upload their documentation, and then we can't approve that without that documentation. Again, that documentation, which I'm going to take you to the next slide, is part of our grant. So it is a requirement. Like, we have to have this. Again, I cannot stress enough, the programs do not see this. It is Amber and Stacy and I working for ECIC. Dana, if she needs to get in there and see something. This is literally kept for paperwork purposes and to check to make sure that, again, the accuracy, what has been entered, is what is reflective of what happened at the observation. The program, the coach, does not receive this information. So here's some documentation that's acceptable. Observation score sheets. We have the 2008 version here. We have the second edition version here. Those are both acceptable. Anything that shows the cycle scores. So every cycle and every cycle score. Because I know some folks don't use these Teachstone score sheets. Sometimes people bring a computer in and have it right in their computer and have their own version of this on their computer. We would accept that too if that's what you do. Something that we cannot accept. A lot of folks are using the My Teachstone reports. If it is just a summary sheet from the My Teachstone report, we cannot use that as documentation. It has to be something that has the cycle scores. Now, My Teachstone does have a report that does have the cycle scores. So if that's what you have, you can definitely enter that. But this one that is shown here on the screen, if it's just a summary, we cannot accept that. It has to show the cycle scores. Questions? All right. I'm turning this over to Dana, and she is going to do a system demonstration for us.
Thank you, Kristen. Let me just get my screen up here. Okay, everyone see it? Excellent. Okay, great. So, hello, everybody. My name's Dana Frederick. I'm the Data Systems Manager. I'm just going to walk you through what you're going to see in the system. We've recently gone through a big renovation. If you've been in the system before, I know that Kristen said she knows a lot of names that she recognized. If you've been in the system before, things are going to look a little bit different now. We've sort of condensed everything onto one screen, and you're more clicking through into programs rather than sort of hunting around for things. But I'll take you in there and show you. So the first thing I want to show you, if you've never been in the system before, this is my registry, and I am in our test site. So everything that you'll see here is just test data, but it's a pretty good representation of what you'll see as an approved assessor. So I'm in my registry, and this is, the landing page that I have whenever I log in. Right here, my name is generic context. This is our test account. And whenever I click on this down arrow, I am going to go down to my approved assessor. Now I have a lot of these sort of roles right here. You'll probably only have approved assessor here and maybe a couple of programs. So I'm going to click into approved assessor, and this will take me into our brand new assessment module. And here we'll see our assessor dashboard. This assessor dashboard's sort of been moved around from what you're used to. We have some filtering here on the left. With these filters, if you are an approved assessor and you have a lot of programs, this is a good way to use these filters. You can filter by your the organization name that you're looking for, the license number, or the org ID. Organization name is probably the easiest to look for, but you have to get spot on whenever you're spelling and when you're typing in. License number is also pretty easy. But what these will bring up is just the organizations that you are assigned to. So you can't just search for any old organization that's getting an assessment. It's just going to be ones that you're assigned to. Now, as I scroll down a little bit, there's a few more things that I can filter by. I can look at the organizations that I'm assigned to, those organizations that I'm assigned to and that are in process, those that have pending assessments, those that have submitted assessments, those that have revisions required, and that just means that one of the assessment managers has turned back an assessment. Let's say, we entered a 5 instead of a 6. That would put you into a revision, and that would fall under this category. Or the ones that you have completed. So if you've turned one in, it's already been posted and everything's all done with it, you can go back and look at your old ones here too. You can also search by the date requested from and to, and then you can hit search and you can reset those filters. Like I said, most of you probably won't have a ton of programs, so you won't need to use these filters, but they're nice to have. So I'm going to pause there, see if anyone has any questions before I move on. Please, if you do have questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat. Um, Always more than welcome to unmute yourself. We have a very small group here today, so if you do want to unmute yourself and talk, you're feeling brave, that's also great too. Okay, I'm seeing no questions. So how do we enter our class scores? Well, you're going to see the programs that you're assigned to in here in this like big window pane, right? So the one that I'm going to pick is this 100 acre wood. I'm going to go in and view my classroom and click that button. And then this brings me to a page with a lot of information on it. Now, the information kind of seems overwhelming, but what we have here is just the demo, like the geographic information, demographic information, right? License, address, things like that, our case details. You really don't have to worry about this very much. This is really just for me and Kristen, so that we can differentiate between our cases. But really what you want to worry about is the stuff over here. So this is going to tell you which room you've been assigned to. You're going to see, okay, I've been assigned the toddler class here. Um, and right here, I've already put in one teacher. We can add our teachers to the classroom teachers. These are going to be the teachers that are present at the time of the assessment. To add a new teacher, I can go right there. I click that Add Teacher button, and I'm going to put in an assistant teacher, and I just enter in her name, click Assistant Teacher, and then hit Save. And then there she is, right there in the assistant teacher. If you've made a mistake, you can also go in under Manage Teacher. You can edit the name and teacher type. Or if you want to remove that teacher altogether, you can do that as well. Okay, so the first thing that I'll do is I want to add one of the cycles that I've already taken down with my documentation. So I'll click on the Add Cycle button and ask you again, do you want to add the cycle? And I say, sure, I sure do. And you'll see that this one's showing up as complete. That means that the cycle has been finished. This cycle number 2, the one that we just added, is incomplete. And you'll see that it just means that no data has been added. So if you want to remove it, if you add it by accident, you can hit that remove button, but I'm going to go in and score. And this just takes you into the assessment form itself. So I'm going to put in my start time. So it's going to prompt you. It's going to say, okay, you said that your assessment lasted from like 8:15 until noon. So you have to work within the parameters that you've already entered. So I'm going to say we started this cycle at 9 a.m. Oops. And then we added at, or I'm sorry, ended at 9. Click that up. That takes a lot of clicks. I apologize for that. We ended at 9:30 or at 9:20. You can ignore these little messages that pop up. It's just a reminder of when it has to be the time parameters that it has to fall under. The number of adults in the room, there were the 2 teachers that I noted, and then the number of children in the room. I'm just going to type that in. I had 10. And then here's the staff present. So that staff is going to carry over from that initial screen. If you need to edit here, you're more than welcome to. And then I will go in and enter in my academic content. So you just, click into what you have already written on your sheet. And you'll notice too that whenever I click into these, it will ask me, was this the majority time? I can say, yes, that was majority. And then obviously just click on all the things, transfer them from the sheet. I'm going to save this. Let's pretend I put in all the data. I'm not going to do it right now. You already know what that looks like. I will draw your attention though to this reminder message. Everything in my registry is like this. It always asks, would you like to continue working on this cycle? It's kind of antithetical of what you think it's going to be, because I think if I say yes, that I've already saved, it's going to like take me out, but really it's going to keep me here. So I don't want to continue working on this cycle right now. I'm going to hit no. Okay, and that brings us back to the screen that we were just at. Now, let's say I've finished everything and I'm ready to submit. Let's pretend 3 cycles have been entered and they're all complete. We got check, check, check. I'm going to go down here to our view totals and click into that. And then right here for the notes, you don't have to enter anything there. You're more than welcome to. If you do enter something here in the notes, it will show up in a report that goes to our QIC coaches, and the QICs then share those with the program, but you don't have to enter anything right here. But I would like for you to go back and check and make sure that your math is mathing, that everything looks to be what you've entered. Just scroll down and take a peek and make sure everything's right. Ignore our test notes. What you put in here, Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have to put anything in the general assessment notes, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is if Riva has something, but that's also they could find in, well, no, the other notes, sorry, assessment notes, could be where they could find the revisions required explanation, but that's I think that's on the other page.
Yeah, I think that one is on the other page. This one gets filtered into the coach report as well. So anything that's going to be added in here, sorry to put you on the spot, Kristen.
No, it's okay because
yeah.
I'm thinking it's our general comment box that I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they just
fixed it. I was
It's
like,
just
it's
new.
our general comment box.
Oh, I think this is new. You
Yeah,
don't
sorry
need
about
this.
this.
Approved assessors, you don't need this.
Right, you don't need this. I do want to caution you though that if you do put notes in here in this general assessment notes box in this total page, that it is going to filter also into that coach report. So the coaches are going to see anything that you type in here. So if you have something to tell the coaches, that's where it goes. But otherwise, you can just leave it blank. Nothing needs to go in there. Okay, so this is the important part. This is the documentation. So this is what Kristen was talking about, where you have those approved tools that you've scanned, taken a picture of, whatever. It's going to go right in here in this documentation piece. And I am scrolled all the way down at the very, very bottom of this totals page. So in this documentation area, you would go to add files. And then this is where you would upload your actual score sheet. And then this is what Amber and Stacy and Kristen are going to go in and just make sure that numbers are all matched up, math's right, everything like that. So this is the documentation that they're going to pull. More often than not, if we do require revisions, it's because either this documentation is missing or because something just isn't matching up to the documentation. So this documentation is very, very important. So I would go into add files. And I can add files again. We'll see what opens. And then I can add a document. I'll just add, let's see here, doesn't really matter. I'll add this to it. Go ahead and open it up. And then I would hit save. And then you'll see that that's in there. One thing that I do want to caution you is that especially whenever you take pictures, if you have an iPhone or an Android that takes really sharp, awesome pictures, and these pictures are like 4 and 5 megabytes large, the system is not going to want to save those because that's too big of a file. Don't save it as like the actual image. Make the image a little bit smaller. If you're able to save it as like a JPEG or a PDF or something like that before you try and upload it, or else it could just spin and spin and spin for you, and then it's not a great look for the registry. So they just can't handle those really big files. And it's usually anything over, I would say, 3 megs or so that it just doesn't like to do. So after we've uploaded everything, after we've made sure everything is correct, we go down here. If I would have actually entered all the cycles, I would have a blue submit button. That's what you would submit. If you don't hear back from us, it gets completed. If you do hear back from us, that just means we need some revisions. And the assessment managers will tell you what those revisions are, so you don't have to go and hunt for them. So I know I went through this really fast. Does anybody have any questions? Again, you can unmute, you can put them in the chat. Is there anything you'd like to see again? Sherry, thank you.
Yeah,
I
thumbs
appreciate
up
the
are
thumbs up.
helpful.
Love it.
Another
Okay.
thing I'll mention, and also Amber and Stacy, if you think of any tips or tricks that you can think of right now that would be helpful during right now, you can definitely chime in. One of the things that I was going to say is if you don't have a scanner, like Dana mentioned, the files being big, you can scan from the notes section of your or the notes app on your phone, and you can do a scanned document, and then that does accept it. Just kind of makes it smaller than a actual picture, so you could still do it with your phone. But that's just a tip that I have found that does work, is if you like scan it as a document instead of taking a picture, you can still do your phone. So one little tip.
Love it. Thank
Um,
you, Kristen.
Yeah.
a tip that I wanted to add, Dana mentioned that when you're entering your times, like there's a lot of clicking, but it will actually let you type in the time. You can type it in, like I can type 9 o'clock tab or 9 tab 00 tab and like not have to click up and down so much.
Oh, thank you, Stacy.
Yeah,
For a minute that was broken. I'm glad it
it's
is fixed.
fixed.
I'm happy to hear that. So hopefully you saw that. I typed it in rather than clicking the up and down arrows and then just clicked out of it. It worked. So thank you, Stacy. That's awesome.
Another
I did.
thing, and Dana, you don't have to click into this, but maybe you can just put your cursor over it. It says view toddler class summary report. It's not going to right now because Dana didn't really enter all the things. But just helpful for you to know that programs that you do submit for, they do get a report from Great Start to Quality. And so it is, again, not your documentation. It's kind of a general report that tells their scores and gives them some template language that is pulled from low, mid, high scores, and kind of gives them some ideas of what they can do to improve quality and kind of what happened during the observation in a generic template sort of way. So that is what the summary report is.
We do have a question in the chat. Does editing of a teacher allow to add a new teacher name? I just wanted to go in here and show you, yes, we can do that. So under here, under staff present, you'll see that we carried the two over from the front page. If I just hit enter, and I'm going to add in another person, it'll save in there. So you can add in as many teachers as you had in the room. I do want to go back and show you too. If we go back to the start page, we can still add another teacher if that person is, if they're there for everything. So I'll put them in as a second assistant teacher. Oh, yep, right there. So you'll see it added. Okay. Any
Yeah,
other
and that's
questions?
helpful too, that it can be in each cycle. So, sometimes there's people that are in and out. So there might be a cycle that does have all three, and then another cycle that just has two.
Mhm. And I'll show you too, if I go in and add another cycle.
Yes, Kim, you can delete it too.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take her out. She wasn't in the room for the third cycle. I'll save it. So that teacher you'll see is not present there. And you can delete all of them. So I can take all these guys out and say instead it was John Doe and James Doe and save that. So it's just completely different teachers. So really you can really uh fashion it to whomever was in the room.
Hey, Dana,
Mhm.
you did not go over the manage assessment part where they fill in the date of the assessment and the start and end times.
I sure didn't. Thank you.
Yep.
Um, let's go back here. It's because I had already done it. I set up this assessment. Okay. So whenever you get this, let me see, actually, let me see if I can go back and we'll see if the other assessment in here has it.
While
Kind of.
Dana's
Oh, no,
looking,
it
this
has
is
not.
basically like the cover page kind of a thing, and you won't be able to submit unless it's filled out.
Mhm. So you'll see whenever I come in here, we have all of these like yellow, orangey exclamation marks, this exclamation marks. Oh my gosh, it's been a long week that say not set. So I'm gonna go to these three little dots right here and click on that and click into manage assessment. And this would normally be the first thing you do. I forgot because I am not an assessor. I just build the system and I don't do this every day. And Amber does. So thank you, Amber. So the assessment tool will already be set. You'll see that this was an infant class. Not what you guys are going to be assigned, but that's just what we have here in our test environment. It'll already be set. You don't have to touch it. You'll go to the date the assessment was complete. I did this on Wednesday, the 14th. The time that the assessment began, I'm going to say 8 a.m. Again, I am typing in. Thank you very much, Stacy. And at the time the assessment ended, it ended at noon, and I can switch that to PM. And then language other than English. If there is language other than English, you can select that. With this, is this a reliability visit? Always pick no. I am not sure. There, PM. That's why it gave me that little error message. Always select no for is this a reliability visit? This is just sort of a holdover from a different time. And we don't use this question right here. So I'm going to hit save. And it tells me the assessment's been updated and that little window goes away. And then you'll see all of that information is now in here. And then we can go on and do our cycles. Okay, do we have any other questions? Hopefully this is a little bit easier than what you've been seeing. I know it's different. And it'll take a little bit of getting used to. I know that Stacy and Amber have been there doing a lot of testing and doing a lot of data entry, and I appreciate that. Amber and Stacy, I'll put you on the spot. What do you think? Is it easier or harder than the iteration before for entering assessment information?
I don't really like this question.
It's different, right? It's different.
Different.
It's different.
It's
It is a
different.
lot different. There's a lot of more clicking, I feel like. So you just have to be aware you're going to click. And then that manage assessment is not super intuitive. So that's why I want to make sure that they know where that is because that they will you can't submit until that's filled in.
Exactly. And if you do get into a bind, please feel free to email us. If you get to a point where like you don't know what you're missing on the interface and it's just hard to enter the data, just go ahead and email us and we'd be happy to assist you. Okay. Kristen, I think I'll turn it back to you.
Sounds good. All right. If you don't have any further questions, I am going to pop back into our slideshow here. Dana, that went a little too quick. Dana said you can email us. You absolutely can. It makes it easier for you to just remember this one email address instead of trying to give you all of our contact information. You can reach any of us at approved assessor at ECIC, the number 4, kids.org. And typically, Riva and I are the one to check this box several times a day, and we can get back to you, or we would forward it to the proper person. So if it's something that Dana needs to help us with, we will get it to Dana. Amber and Stacy, same thing. The three of us communicate several times a day. So we will let folks know if you need them. And if someone, let's just say Stacy returns something for revisions that you have a question about, any one of the three of us, Amber, Stacy, or myself, can help you with that revision. Amber and Stacy are out in the field several times a week. And so if you email or reach out, any one of us can help you walk through that. We keep some really detailed notes on what needs to be fixed so that we can all help out to get you the right information. All right, so approved assessor at ecic4kids.org. The other thing I'm going to pop in the chat is a link to the approved assessor page on the Great Start to Quality website. This has a lot of really great information. Information that will be continued to be updated because we will put this recording on this page and that video tutorial. Lots of things that you need to know that we covered today are on this page. Tell your friends about it. If they're also an approved assessor or need to be an approved assessor, definitely pass this along. This is a good one to bookmark because you aren't entering these scores all the time. So we would not expect for you to remember all of this. And you may forget, what did Dana say about that, right? And so this will help you with that. We also will work on just kind of a checklist maybe of step by step entering the scores too. So if you're not wanting to look at the video, rewatch the video, we can get you something written as well too. This is still very, very new, hot off the press. So we're still working on some of those resources to help you out, but you should find this website very helpful. All right. We're ending a little bit early. If you need to stay on, if you think of any questions, definitely stay on. But thank you so much for coming this afternoon. Hopefully you found this information really helpful. And we really appreciate all of our approved assessors so much. And I know the programs appreciate the fact that they can use the scores from your observations instead of having another observation. So we just want to let you know how much we do appreciate the work that you're doing out there for Michigan's kids and families. And I hope you all have a really great afternoon. Bye-bye.